Welcome in, everyone. We are so excited to have you here today as a part of our Winter Career Quest series. My name is Hong Win, and I'm part of the Careers and Professional Development team here at WGU. And it's my honor to introduce our guest speaker today, someone who's made a remarkable impact in the talent acquisition field and within its community. I'm so thrilled to welcome in Derrick Walter, Talent Acquisition Manager at Airbus U.S. Space and Defense. He's a true industry leader who continues to empower others to succeed in their fields. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Dr. Walter Sullivan, who's an instructor here at WGU. Thank you for being here. I had the pleasure of meeting Derrick and Dr. Walter Sullivan at our Houston alumni event, and it was such an absolute joy to get to know them both. Derrick's not just a professional powerhouse, but also an advocate for making positive impact in the community. And today he'll be sharing on Boss Moves, Mastering the Career Game, where he'll share insights on how to position yourself for career success and make impactful decisions in your professional life. With that, Derrick, I'm excited to turn things over to you. Oh,
Can you, can
there we
everyone hear
go.
me?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Can everyone see me? Awesome. 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 Thank you so very much again for the opportunity to share with you. I am going to walk us through my PowerPoint and presentation. I also have housekeeping rules, and we'll get to that. Continue to share where you're from in the chat. Also, know that this is being recorded and on the YouTube. I've actually gone to the YouTube and looked at a couple of the videos, and one particular that I really enjoyed. So just know that your input sticks around for people to land on that page and get more out of this session than what's happening today. So I will begin. Let me know, can everyone see my screen? Is everyone good? Can everyone see? All right,
Yes.
perfect. All right, so again, here's the title, Boss Moves, Mastering the Career Game, Practical Steps to Help You Master Career Success. And I want to let you know why I chose this to present on. One, being in talent acquisition, I listen to people all the time about, open jobs. And a job a job is way harder than people realize sometimes, even though I feel like most people on the other side believe it's very hard, but it's even harder than just normal one person trying to land a job. At a certain time, you have people across the nation and the globe looking for employment, right? And so what I believe is the easiest way to land employment is to have a career story. So a career story is not just a job or a functionality or how much money you want to make. A career story is something that allows you to tell the story within yourself, to other people, and obviously on your resume and interviews to get you through to gainfully be employed as long as you can. And so in everything, I think everything is strategy here and timing, all that. So for the fun sake of it, I use the word game. So mastering the career game. And then in this presentation, I'm going to give us practical steps to help us master career success. So I'm going to walk us through that. Feel free to drop questions in the chat as we go. I'm not going to look at them during the process, but I'm going to hope Ms. Wynn helps me with that. And I'll stop from time to time to go in there. I can see on this screen when people ask questions, so I'll look every now and then if something pops up. But for the most part, I'm going to go through each slide and try to pause us and then go back to answer any questions. But of course, at the very end, we're going to have questions. Cool? All right, get started. Hopefully my questions work. If they don't, blame TikTok shutting down or something. How about that? All right, so introductions. This is me, Derrick James Walter, Boss Moves, Mastering the Career Game. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, to Dr. Ernestine Walter Sullivan and my dad, James Rebector, and have not left Houston as far as permanent residence, but have traveled across the world. My first job was on the campus of Prairie View A&M University. My mom went back to school to get her undergrad, and as a young tot, I was into everything. And so in order to keep me focused and busy and out of trouble, My mom and one of her friends decided it was just good to give me keys to the game room on the campus of Prairie A&M University, and I took that job very seriously. And so I've been working for as long as I am known, and have decided to be as good as I can. From there, my first job before I was in actual school, no child labor laws or anything was broken at that time. It wasn't a real job. But from there, I worked my way in high school. I worked for a laser tag company, and it was the coolest job ever. And then on summers, I worked for camp. Uh, After school, I decided to go into retail. I was in the Buckle clothing stores. Anybody know Buckle? Buckle clothing stores manager program, and then end up being the manager for Steve Madden in the Houston Galleria, which at the time was the third largest store. After interacting with the corporate office for a while, I decided that I wanted to get into corporate work, even though I thought I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how to get there until the corporation I ended up working for was Academy Sports and Outdoors. So for you that are not in the Southeast area that maybe see a lot of Academy, it's similar to Dick's, Hicks, those type of stores, a big box retailer. And so from there, after a while, I started to get into training and development, hiring and firing, and then was introduced into the recruitment world. At that time, I was on the staffing and recruiting side. So staffing and recruiting is there's companies that call up a company or a program and says, hey, we'd like to help you fill those open positions. So it's kind of like recruitment sales. So I did that for quite some time, oil and gas, aviation, aerospace, and then end up working my way up to being the vice president of recruitment and talent acquisition for a global company. After a while, I decided to open my own company, which I still own and manage. It is Conscious Talent Consulting. And you'll see the colors are gold and blue, which you'll see throughout my theme there. And immediately after I opened up that, the pandemic happened. And so then I had to get back to work. And so then I actually found a cool gig working for a little known company by Boeing in their defense space group, and end up working on the Starliner, helping people in Space Coast, Florida, as well as in California for that. And after a season, Airbus U.S. Space and Defense came calling, and ended up working there on a contract basis. And in September of 2024, I became the manager of talent acquisition for them. So that is my story. That's how we got here. And then through that, Ms. Nguyen reached out to me and asked me to be a part of, the local networking event that they had in Houston last year around a small conference called Afrotech. Me and Mom went there, and then here we are here today. So that's how I've gotten from born to right here in front of you guys. Cool. All right, let's dive in. I do have rules and engagement here. I do believe that being and believing. So this is going to be interactive, and the theme I used for this event is being. So how do we become who we want to be? So how do we really embody what it means to be successful in a career? So our rules of engagement are: be courageous. So yes, I'm going to want you to be courageous here in this event. You already are seeing questions in the chat, so you're already out there already. Be engaging. So we're going to be engaging. You're doing that already. Be great. All right. Be mindful. So be mindful of your peers. Be mindful of what we're talking about. Be mindful of not just being someone that's talking, but talking specific to what we're doing here. Be respectful. I think that speaks for itself. And then the final thing is be vulnerable. So I am going to ask you to step out your comfort zone here a little bit. For some of you, it may not be a large step outside of it, but for some of you, it may be. So that's my rules of engagement. And we're going to jump straight in. And I like you to be yourself here. All right. So no one's better than you at being you. So be you. All right. Icebreaker exercise, guys. Here is where we are. So the first thing I want you to do, and we always like to do this in the being mindful, I also want us to take a pause. I know you guys have had a busy day today, maybe already. Always also dealing with technology and this type of interaction. It's we usually are not in our own self. So breathing is number one for me. So I want us just to be able to just relax, because I am going to ask us to be something more than we've been earlier today. So breathing is number one. If you don't know intentional breaths, very simple. Something that I do is just take some inhales, 1, 2, 3, and exhale, 1, 2, 3. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3. So do that for a little bit. And what that does is that calms your regulatory system, box breathing somewhat, but really more so I just call it just normal, just breath. So it's regulation. So breathing is number one for me, just to get to a centered state. Whatever we're thinking about, it just kind of clears the mindset. So we're really focused here. Number two is giving thanks. I'm very big into something being bigger than myself. And so, number one, I want you to be able to give thanks to obviously your personal experience here, however it took you to be a part of WGU, however it took you to be a part of this thing. It could be your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be, anything that you've gotten the ability to give thanks about, and especially in seasons of want, or maybe everything stress or lack. I always think if we can find a time to give thanks, we are on our way to creating a positive energy. And I want us to have positive energy here. The third thing is believe. All right. So I know one of the coolest things about my job is a lot of times when I offer people a job, they sometimes didn't think they're going to get it. And then there's people who really knew that it was their job all the way. And I can realize and recognize those people immediately. So whatever you may struggling with on belief, especially when it comes to your career, when it comes to what you're doing right now at WGU, I want you to believe that what you want and what's available to you is possible. And that is so for some of you may be vulnerable, for some of you that may be courageous, for some of you that may just be who you are. But in this time, and once we get through this, belief is going to be big for me, okay? And I want it to be big for you. And number four is decide. So decide that what you believe is true. Decide that you are the person that you want to be. Decide, really make that decision that that is what is going to happen for you. In most of the high level people that get and land a job, they are very specific in who they want to be, how they're going to get there. And I'm just part of the cog in the wheel, right? So decide, and that's just very simple. And if you're writing notes, write that down. And if you can't do that right now, if you can't literally say, okay, I've given thanks, I believe, and now I'm deciding. If you can't do that, give yourself permission. So say, I give myself permission to decide, and then we'll work back into that, or some way you'll come back to that. The last one is proclaim. So this is a time that you can use from right now to the end of my session. Proclaim in the chat who you're going to be. Are you going to be a VP? Are you going to be a director? Are you going to land a job? Are you going to graduate? So at any point in this time, you can do it now. Be courageous, be the first few, be vulnerable, be the first, 10 people or 5 people to do this. Proclaim in that chat who you're going to be. Are you going to graduate? Have you already graduated? Are you going to land a job? Are you going to be a 6-figure person? Are you going to relocate? I see an owner. Thank you, Jason, for jumping in there. Thank you, Amanda. Do all that. So proclaim, and what proclaiming does is it puts you already in that energy. And I'm a big person. I grew up in the church of witnessing and testimony service. So this is your witness testimony. And in that chat, if you see somebody that you know, or classmate or something that recognizes you, say, okay, I agree with that. And so now we're proclaiming together. Cool. So really, I could just end the presentation right now. You guys know the work, right? That's it right here. This is really the magic, all right? Stuff right here. So I'm going to move on, but keep proclaiming throughout the whole thing. And if something comes up, do it. But I mean, already you guys have been so amazing jumping in that. I see that, and I can't wait to look back on it. All right. So it's my turn. Let's go. All right. Number one is, when it comes to your career and being successful and the rules to the game, come on, run that half marathon. The power of vision is just big, right? And again, what you guys just did or are doing in that chat is in harnessing the power of vision. right? The way to do that, number one, is defining your career goals. Some of you have already defined the job title, which is great, and that is a big part of a career goal. But some of the things up into the career goal are going to be very specific. Some of that is like getting a certification, moving your way through your education, finding a mentor. Those type of things are very important. So defining career goals is very important there. So here's the exercise. Envision the role or impact you want to have in 5, 10, and 20 years. Now, a lot of people think career is just a transactional title in what you're doing, but it's an impact that you're also having. So I'm very big in purpose-driven work. And so if you're the director of IT, that means you are helping a company be sustainable in their technology, protecting against cybersecurity, making sure everybody can log in and do their job, right? So that impact is bigger than you being the director of IT. You see me there? So if you can envision the role and impact that you'll have getting there, and then in that, it's easier to embody what you're doing. So if it's easier to embody, it's easier to be that person. Instead of just saying, man, I'm not getting these jobs. It's just not happening. I don't know why I need to. Instead of it's just like, man, I'm not fulfilling this thing that I have inside of me. So embodying and envisioning that role and impact you have in the next 5, 10, and 20 years allows you to become that person. It's very big. So you'll notice as we go through my presentation, every word that I try to use is an action word. Envision, decide. I think choose is the next one. Actually, is the next one because I can see it on my screen right here, guys. So I'm cheating. So decide how to align your actions and decisions with this vision. So a lot of times in the career, we get lost on what's the next step, but that's why I think vision is very important, because we decide how to align our actions and decisions with this vision. So if I'm going to be the director of IT and I haven't taken one IT cert, we know that that's not an action that's decisive enough for the vision. If I haven't connected with IT leaders on LinkedIn, we know that that's not something that we should leave on the table. We should be able to do that. So doing that is very important. Making sure we decide how to align our actions and decisions with our vision is very important. Number 3, choose what certifications or projects aid in our vision quest, all right? So envision it. We're looking at it, we see it, we're going to decide how these actions and decisions align with our vision, and then we choose what certifications and projects aid in our vision quest. And the reason why we do all of this is because we're going to have to be or enact that, right? If we're just doing the vision part, obviously we know the next part is manifesting that or physically being that, right? It's another word for that. So here's an action for you guys if you are writing notes, or do it in your mindset, but I'll also share this presentation, and of course it'll be on YouTube. But write down your actual next career goal and use it as your compass. So what is the next thing you must do? It could be land a job, I will say that, but let's say the next career goal is something that's actionable, that's smart, right? Something that you can do, a SMART goal, something you know that you can actually put your hands on and tangibly do. So that could be, make sure I set that meeting with my career counselor. That could be, I'll make sure I need to finish task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, whatever the task that you have. If I have to meet with my advisor. So what is that is so that you can move up forward. Feel free to write that in the chat if you need to. If you don't have a physical pen and paper, do that and we can come back to that. But that's the action, and I'll give you guys 20 seconds to do that. And of course, in the state of scholastics, extra credit. What? Extra credit is write down 2 or 3 more. I know we have some overachievers on the line, so not just your next career goal, used as a compass, there is extra credit. So write down 2 or 3 more steps for your next career goal. A good question that we can talk about when we do get to the question part is, what defines a good career goal? So if you don't already have it in your mind, what defines a good career goal, we can do that afterwards, because I would like to talk a little bit more about that versus interrupt the presentation flow. And because I know there's a few questions in the chat, I'm going to go to the next slide. And then after the next slide, I'm going to see if there's anything that I can answer very quickly or say to the end. Is that okay with you guys? Can I get some thumbs up if that's okay? Thumbs down is fine. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. All right, perfect. Thank y'all. I appreciate your interaction. All right. All right, so building the bridge. So we go from vision to building to bridge or creating the next step. All right, so we build a bridge. So we're using today, right now, to create tomorrow. I tell people all the time when we get into our now state, when I'm sitting right here in the chair, me sitting in this very chair is a culmination of decisions and actions or inactions to get to exactly where I'm at today. So I am creating the future by what I'm doing today, right? So that's building the bridge from where we need to go, from the vision to now actually living that. So number one on this is remember, every task can be a stepping stone to future success. So I know sometimes we are just doing tasks aimlessly and just like, I just got to do this. I got to write this. I got to review this. I got to talk to this person who didn't pass me fully on my little test thing that I did. And I know I did it right. But everything is a stepping stone to future success. And so I'm in the ability of, or I'm in the mindset of making sure that everything I'm doing is enabling me to move forward in my future success. And having that mindset instead of being begrudging about it, knowing that I need to wake up and do this, log in, do X, Y, and Z so that I can be successful. So remember that. Look for skills or connections in your current role or study. This is something that I think a lot of the community can do better on because it's really is a who you know game. I can't emphasize that more. It's who you know and how will you set yourself apart. Um, Timing is another thing that I think is something I can touch on a little bit later. But as far as building the bridge, you got to make sure you enhance your skills, and especially in a technology-driven market, it's very big. And then soft skills is another big thing there. But your connections in your current role or studies, meaning how many people at WGU know you, how many people who graduate from WGU in your same field of study know you? How many do you know? How many people at Marriott know you if you want to work for Marriott? How many people at United know you? How many people at Airbus U.S. Space and Defense know you? At least one. So how many people know you and how many people do you know and how are you aligned in their skills so that you can become the person that you need to be? This may be right here embedded in the middle of this presentation, one of the most important things. All right, action. Volunteer for projects outside of your normal responsibilities or scope. Huge. So I volunteer for the Houston Rodeo. If you're ever in Houston, you know the rodeo. I know some Texas people understand how big Houston Rodeo is. I do some other stuff, Project Blueprint, and a lot of things that I've done for like United Way, et cetera. I've met the people who will help me achieve the goals that I want to do. So make sure that you are actively involved in the community. That's how you can look for skills and connections in your current role of studies to help you move on to your next level. You know, if you've done the vision exercise and you're doing all the things and you're asking for what you want, you have to put yourself out there. So that's the doing part of the faith that you have. And this is one of those big things. And again, this probably may be one of the most important slides of this whole deal. It's not technical. It is that tangible thing to help build you and move you forward. So obviously, extra credit, guys. So find multiple opportunities to help your future self, not just one, but many. And I just want to say, being involved in your community and utilizing the people that are close to you. And I do believe in the 6 degrees of separation. I really think it's only 3 degrees of separation, honestly. That will help you big time as you are trying to build a bridge over to what you want to do. All right, I could take a break. I'm gonna rely on you, Miss Wynn, to kind of help me see what maybe in the chat that we can talk to for a little bit. I don't have very many more slides left, but I am interested in seeing where we are right now.
Yeah, not a problem. We do from Michelle. As we know, every task takes time and task priorities are continually being reshuffled. How should an important challenge successfully concluded be portrayed as strength and not a detour?
Great question. The, the first answer I'll give is that gut instinct, right? Intuition, right? Number one, how does it feel? Does it feel like a waste of time? Does it feel like it's in alignment? And I really don't like to use the word feeling. Anybody will tell you I'm political than feeling, but the more time that you breathe, sit and clear your space, clear your mechanism, you can kind of know if it's good or not. Number two, I would say is what are the results? Is what's your ROI? What's your really return on investment? Or I like to use the phrase ROE. What's your return on energy, right? Is it giving you the uptick of energy that you know, or is it really draining you and you're not getting anywhere? So what's that return of energy? And then the third thing is just like, what's the results? Is it moving you where you need to be? And if not, if all those things, if you're still plugging all those things and you don't know, then number four, ask somebody. Just ask them about it. Ask somebody that is in or where you want to be and what they think, and then that'll be the final kicker. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, awesome. Next question, also from Michelle. Please share your insights into creating buy-in to form a more cohesive team.
Great question. Food. Just take them out to eat. No, I would say just interaction, getting to know people for real, for real. Um, Buy-in. What's buy-in? What are we really doing here, right? Why do I really, really, really have to go to work? Why do I really, really want to be direct? Like, is it really like ego? Like I want to have this job title, or I think this company really is it embodies my values, or is it like I got to do something out here because they don't really let me live in this house or apartment for free. I got to put gas in the car. So at the end of the day, we really are just humans trying to do this thing correctly. And the only thing that really, really matters at the end of the day is this human interaction, right? And so the best way to create buy-in is be humans, be people, have community.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle, for those questions there. We also have another question from Tommy. Does it become a problem in focusing if I start over certifying before I even started working in the industry? Maybe it's a certification that I could use to add to my skill set, but it might not necessarily get me the job. How much weight is that going to add to an entry-level application? Is this a wrong mindset?
Great question. I wouldn't say a wrong mindset, and definitely not a wrong question. Over certification. Here's how I would define over certification. Uh, are you going broke? Are you wasting your time? Meaning, are you not doing the stuff you need to do? If the answers to those is yes, then I would then refocus. Otherwise, especially if it's a highly technical place, right? For instance, if you're in HR, do you need your SHRM? Do you need those type of things? I would say yes. If you're in IT and you need cybersecurity training, Google offers it, other people offer it. Yes. If you're in project management, should you get your PM? Yes. Should you do all? Yes. Um, should you be taking all of these ad hoc courses that aren't in alignment with what you think your career trajectory is? Then I would look at that, right? And then I would make sure that it is accredited, right? So there's a lot of people that say, get this cert or do this, LinkedIn Learning, and all the stuff that I really, really love that is out there because education is changing, right? We can learn things a lot quicker today than maybe back a couple generations, but just make sure that is in alignment with where you're going versus just doing something to say I did it and then nobody's hiring you because it's not relevant, right? So make sure you just stay relevant.
Thank you, Derek. And thank you, Tommy, for that question. I think those are the only questions we have for now. Yeah.
All right, I'll keep going and thank you all so very much for being involved. I appreciate you. And don't forget to keep proclaiming in the chat if you haven't decided yet to proclaim who you're going to be or where you're going. All right. This is one of my favorite topics because it's mental mastery, because I believe that our brain power and how we think and the words we use are one of the most important, if not the most important, into accomplishing our goals, and especially in our career goals. And I'll say this esoterically, or some people may say out there, is a collective brain or soul or ideology to each business and thus each industry. The aerospace industry thinks a certain way. The space industry thinks a certain way. The defense industry thinks a certain way. The IT industry thinks a certain way. The cybersecurity industry thinks a certain way. So everything has its own like ecosystem or energy or thought. And so if you can align yourself mentally with that or metaphysically with that, it's easier to be that, right? It's easier to do that. Same thing with success. People tell you successful people always have this. They have a spiritual component or belief system. They have discipline. They have focus. They have, these things. So like everything has its own ecosystem. And so I think mental mastery is one of the most important things here when it comes to your career success. Align yourself mentally, and there's almost nothing that you can achieve. So this is that. Let's go. So staying focused and resilient. What do I mean by being focused? Obviously, stay sharp on the goal. Resilient means if challenges come up, work through them, right? So number one is use setbacks as opportunities for growth and redirection. I always say that I usually say that redirection really isn't a real word because it's all direction, right? But I understand in the career, and especially the older we get in this in life, a lot of times we believe that, you know what, that's where God redirected me or life redirected me or my decisions redirected me. So the way I say use setbacks as opportunities for growth and redirection is if you can have a positive mental state about something, it's easier to move forward in a positive way. If we have a negative setback, it's like, man, I should have went to school earlier. Man, I shouldn't have turned down that job. Man, I should have went to that interview. Instead of saying, you know what, that was an opportunity for me to learn to do X, Y, and Z, it's easier for us. Y'all, my mom just texted me, and I don't know what she said. Tell her to put it in the chat. Reframe perceived failures, losses, and rejections as wins. That's the same thing. And the reason why that's very important is I can't tell you enough how many people who have a positive mindset going into their career trajectory move forward more than those who just think, well, of course, so many people apply for that. It's not going to be me, or I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. A positive mindset allows you to move yourself into the energy of a win, right? Action. All right. Transmute. I'm big into alchemy. So transmute a recent challenge or obstacle to build resilience and focus. And this is a real action. You can put that in the chat or you can write this down. But the challenge to you or the action to you is right now, we all have obstacles in a recent challenge or setback. So how can we right now reframe that into a positivity? And I really want you to kind of take some time to do that. Because we still have 25 minutes, right? So I do want you to take some time to do that right now. To me, this is really big. Look at some of the things that you're welcome, Michelle, and thank you for sharing that. What are some things right now? What is something right now that has been a recent challenge or obstacle? And I want you to be able to transmute that into a positive statement. It's great sharing. Just remember, setback is an opportunity for growth and redirection. We can reframe all our perceived failures and losses and rejections as wins. So do that right now. Same on running. And for me, running has allowed me time alone and peace to clear my mind when I couldn't find time to do that before. And again, if you can't do this right now, Give yourself permission. Say, I give myself permission to transmute a recent challenge or obstacle to build resilience and focus. And then you can come back to it. For those of you who are already in it, keep going. I always give extra credit. And here's the tough one, right? And this is really big for us. Take something from way back or hurts too much and use it to launch you forward. Value of time and the value of our relationship with our family. Yes. Good, Tommy. That's a great share, by the way. Give us 2 more minutes here. And again, share with your community in the chat, right or wrong. But also, if you can't do it now, just give yourself permission. But to me, this is how we for sure gain success. This is practical, manageable ownership of ourselves to move us forward. All right, give us 1 more minute. Thank you, Lisa. I love that. I will. I definitely will. Come on, Brian. That's awesome. Way to build yourself back. All right. Listen, Jim, that's something I think people will talk about a little bit longer of just how remote work doesn't allow us to really do this thing to help engage and get advancement. I like that. I'll tell you one thing I'll share. A recent challenge or obstacle to build resilience and focus. And y'all keep sharing. I appreciate that. Um, um, I also decided at a certain point when I became a contractor at Airbus U.S. Space and Defense, and everybody knows the story, so I can share this, is I was offered a full-time job within the first year. I ended up staying on as a contractor for about 2.5 years because it just wasn't the job I wanted. It wasn't the job for me. Becoming a permanent hire the wasn't the thing for me, and I was working hard as individual contributor, and because I was on contract, it bill overtime, and I was like, "You're gonna feel the pain of how many hours I'm working." Um, and eventually, whenever the full-time job came open, they were just like, well, it has to go external because you're not an internal employee. So you're going to have to compete for the job. And again, it was the job that I was doing, the job that I thought I should have for 2.5 years. And I had to literally compete. And so I decided I was going to compete. And so I sent emails to the whole staff, people that I knew, and asked for reference letters and referral letters that I was doing this. Since I was going to compete, I was going to win. Where I thought it should have just been my job, and I was so ticked at first. And then I realized that, you know what, this is part of the process of being who I want to be. Do I want this job because is it part of my goal? And I said, yeah. So if I'm going to compete to win. And so I had a good number of letters from all across the company, globally. And they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, it's yours. Take care, Shanique. Thank you so very much. All right. And don't forget, this will be recorded and on the you got to leave, you got to leave. I'm going to move us through for these next 18 minutes. I only got 3 slides left, so we're perfect, hopefully on time. All right, the next thing into making sure you win the game, the career game, and be successful at it is to literally take action. Again, we did the mental exercise, we did the be and believing exercise, we did the proclaiming exercise. We're doing all the things. We're giving ourselves permission to be great, to make connections, to do all the things, and now take action, right? And this is going to be very simple, I promise. So how we have to remember that small moves create big results. Rome wasn't built in the day. And so you have to really, really, really understand that even your micro moves can create the big results that you want. So even coming to this thing, this session, and learning some of the things from my side of the business. And again, I could be like, get your resume together, have a good LinkedIn profile, apply for jobs early, which are all like great. But honestly, in the career game, this is the parts that I think people don't talk about enough, and aren't really too exciting on LinkedIn to get all the clicks, right? But I believe this is really where you need to be from a internal self to do that externally, right? So accept that success comes from consistent, intentional action over time. The opposite of the antithesis of this is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different outcome is the definition of, that's right, you said it, insanity. So at the same time, success comes from consistent, intentional action over time. And so I appreciate that. I've never been generic. It means like I will do this. I will make sure I apply for jobs. I'll make sure I update my resume. I'll make sure I finish school on time. I'll make sure I respond to these emails. I'll make sure that I balance my work life, life so that I can be able to be the person I need to be. I will embody this. And then over time, we become that, right? I tell anybody, if you're not doing anything at least 30 days in a row, if it's what you want, or over a 30 days time period, don't even worry about it. I think if you can get to 90 days, you're really where you want to be. All right, assess. So accept and assess what your daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly routines have you in a success state. All right. And so what I mean by that is, what are you doing? What are you doing daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly on a routine basis to get there? So that could be, I'm going to these monthly meetings. I'm engaged with my ERG group. I meet with my manager weekly or bi-weekly. I've signed up for these industry newsletters. I'm getting these certifications. So sorry about that, guys. I thought my team was off. And so those are some of the things that you can do to make sure that you are taking the correct action. All right. So that's that. All right, and so you're going to see that one more time. All right, so plan to attend networking events and or connect with mentors or thought leaders regularly online. And what that does is allow you to, let me actually turn that off so we don't see that. Cool, apologies, guys. There we are, good, apologies. You got to see my people reach out to me. So plan to attend networking events and or connect with mentors, thought leaders regularly online. And what that does is allow you to stay up to date on industry events, as well as know where to move and how to move. And again, because we're in a high social, very data rich season of time, it's easy to move and transition with the. So back to the thing of being of taking, let's say, I think the person was saying taking accreditations or getting certifications, et cetera. You know what is in and what's hot, what's coming up down the pipe and what's not. So if a company says, we just purchased this company, right, and we just merged with this company, and there's going to be 100 or 200 vacancies in this, it's so easy then to say, oh, that's I can align myself there, and then I can start looking at, who are the right people to connect to, who are the right people to listen to, and then building that way. So I tell my mom all the time, get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is having all the things, having the conversation, or get on Twitter, or now it's called X, and follow some of these people that are speaking. Uh, if you're in the mindset of career, if that's your focus, I would say LinkedIn is your number one social media app, and everything else is two, three, and four. And then making sure you're reading publications like Houston Business Journal if you're from Houston, or whatever business journal you're in, or any of those type of takes like Forbes, et cetera, like that. That helps you like that. So I would say keep doing that to move forward. All right, you know what time it is? It is action time. So pick one career focused action for each week or bi-weekly right now. So for you, is that getting on LinkedIn and actually logging into LinkedIn? Is that having a tag up with your boss, or having a tag up with the mentor, or having a tag up with um, uh, let's say even the career services person at WGU, which I think is so good, or even the outreach. I know WGU has great outreach with industry people. Like, are you taking advantage of those programs? Ms. Wynn can help you with that. I'll give you your story to help you with this action right here. When I was at Academy Sports and Outdoors, and hit me up, Mike, I'll help you, all right? I was doing a policy and procedure refresh, where I was refreshing all the policy and procedures that the corporate office went to the stores. And so I was like, how do I do this correctly? So I decided, let me meet with every department head. So if they're the ones that really own the policy, so let me meet with every department head. So I end up meeting with every department head on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, and we refresh the stuff to make sure it was there. I met with marketing team to make sure when we rolled out the new policy and procedures, it was all aligned, and just met with everybody to say, hey, this is the project that we're doing. Let's go for it. And people are like, this is great. And it guaranteed success because everybody was involved to an extent that made sense for them. And then after that, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go for the top. So I decided to meet with the CEO. And sure enough, me, and at that time, his name was Rodney Falden, became great friends. Because I said, let me let you know what I'm doing. And we would go to lunch, and people were just like, how did you do that? And I said, I decided to do that. Extra credit, guys. Apply for internships, cohorts, conferences, jobs, or mentorships every week. I would do it. Internal mobility, if you're already working for a company, see, hey, listen, do I work with my HRBP? Who do I need to work with? My employee engagement? How do I really put myself out there? Because this is where I want to go, but this is what I'm seeing. Help me. And again, the squeaky wheel gets greased, and closed mouths don't get it. That's right, fed. You guys know that. So that's a credit, and please do that. All right, we got 10 minutes left, and I have 2 slides left, and the last slide is questions. So let me run through this if you guys don't mind. Focus on the big picture. All right, so focusing on the big picture. All right, that means shaping the career you want. And again, I would have to say this again, it's not a job that you really want. It's a career. It's really a career. And of course, we can focus on the job titles that we put in the deal, but it's the career that we want, because a career allows us to embody something, right? I am a psychologist, and I'm a psychologist that focuses on women, and not just women, but underserved women, or women that have gone through abusive situations, right? And so now I know that I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can even do this at school. I can do this at a church. I can do this at a community event. I can do this at a nonprofit. I can do this anywhere. So then you're not really focused on the job title, because then you're applying for jobs, you can't get it. But if you're applying for the career, you can go anywhere. It can shape you where you want to go. So the same thing, I want to make sure I protect our country from cyber hacks. Where can I work? Government, DOD, Cisco. I could work for the other Cisco with the S. I could work with, I can do all these different. So shaping the career you want, remember to do that. That's a great question. How to be ready enough to win? I'll answer that after this. All right. So reset as much as needed in order to stay motivated. And that could be the answer right there. So sometimes on this process, we get bogged down in the doing, get bogged down in life, we get bogged down with our mental self, our external self. Um, and I would just have to say one of the biggest things is to reset as much as needed in order to stay motivated. For me, I reset every new calendar year. Right, I have my words for the year. I literally assess myself like I'm doing my own employee evaluation on myself, and I say, "Oh, I could have done this more. I could have spent more time with this." And then I try to do that on a quarterly basis, or let's say a full moon, or let's say when summer time comes, or 4th of July, or whatever. Like I find myself in times where I like to reset to make sure that I can keep going, right? And especially I do that after an obstacle or a setback. Then I say, you know what can I transmute here? What can I learn here to move forward? Uh, and if we get laid off, which I've been laid off, I've been fired many times, that's a perfect time to reset. Uh, and then refocus and say, am I in line with my overall career goals, or am I just like not having a job, right? Number two is check your progress regularly and adjust your plan as needed. So the way I do this, fine folks, is I have my own board of directors, right? People that help me know my career goals. I say all the time, you are the CEO of yourself. You are your own business case. And so in that, you should operate sometimes as your own company. And the best way to operate as your own company is have a good board of directors. So people that you trust, people that have done the job, people who are successful. Don't have people on your board of directors that don't know how to do certain things, like keep a job or be successful or can't tell the truth all the time. Make sure you have a board of directors that is of high resolve, and then also make sure you're that person too. All right. Engage with. Oh, it was right here. I don't know why I just did this already. I've already answered this one. I guess I'm ahead of myself. I've always been an overachiever, guys. You can see it right here. All right. Here's the action. Map out skills and experiences needed for your ideal or next role. So that is what school does, right? So that you do that. That's what counseling does. Make sure you just map out those skills and experiences needed for your ideal or next role. And then you do that each role, right? So once you hit something, say, how do I get to the next place? Okay, in order to do that, I need to make sure I get my PMP. All right, in order to do that, I probably should get a master's degree. In order to do that, do I want to have my doctor's in psychology? Yes, because in order to do that, I need to do this. So map out the skills and experience needed for your ideal next role. If it's, hey, you need 2 years of experience, go get that 2 years of experience. It is always worth the action to do it. All right. You can come back to do that because I want to get to your extra credit and we'll go into questions. Okay. So extra credit is celebrate all your wins and stay encouraged. I would have to say at the end of the day, no win is too small to celebrate. All right. You pass a test, you pass a grade, buy yourself a vegan red velvet cupcake from Crave, take yourself to the movies, drink that Dr. Pepper, do whatever you need to do to celebrate your wins and stay encouraged because it's really about you at the end of the day. I know we are plugged into communities and our communities are ourselves, but it really is about you at the end of the day. And if you can't love on yourself and encourage yourself and focus on you and what that means for you in the big picture, then nobody's going to do that. Cool. And that is my presentation. And I think we got about 5 minutes left if I'm correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derrick. If you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. If we don't get to it today, don't worry. We'll make sure to follow up. And if you think of a question later on, you can always email us and we'll make sure that gets through as well. So we did have a question earlier from Sherry. It looks like she's looking at some of the certifications with some goals to become HR program manager or HRBP. What are your thoughts on how to sell the advanced degree and certifications when you may not have enough experience?
Great. Oversell it. And just ask the direct question. Say, is this transferable? Yes or no? And say, listen, this is that. But you got to get to a decision maker in order to make that happen, right? So a lot of times a recruiter may stand in the way between you and the decision maker, but literally ask the tough questions. Is this transferable? Does this make sense? Can I prove myself? Is this an actual need or a preferred requirement? The sale.
Awesome.
Sale.
Thank you, Sherry, for that question. Any other questions here? I'm seeing a lot of thank you comments, so I think that's a testament to what you shared today. I've run quite a bit of Career Quest sessions, and I don't think I've seen a engaging and thoughtful one as this. So thank you so much, Derrick. We'll just give it another minute here for some questions. All right, we got a question from Lisa, how to locate the YouTube video. We'll send out a follow-up email that will come with the recording. I think Derrick did drop his LinkedIn earlier. I know it can get lost in the chat, but I'll send that out with that follow-up email as well so that attendees have that and you can connect there with Derrick.
Perfect. Yes, and you can just type in my name, Derrick Walter. You should find me on LinkedIn. But at the very top of this chat, I put my actual link.
Right.
Thank y'all very much, by the way.
A lot of thank you comments. That's so nice. Thank you so much for joining us. Just give it another minute here. If you have any questions for Derrick. You just did such a phenomenal job. Everyone's speechless.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna be speechless after this. Oh, thanks,
Oh,
brother.
we got a shout out from Dr. Walter Sullivan. Awesome. Well, if folks do have questions later on, you can always email us. Um, what do you know about hacking satellites?
Uh, be a good hacker, if you will, and you can get paid a lot of money for being an ethical hacker. How about that? I'll
There,
answer
just
that
leave it.
question.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike, for that question. But yes, if you do think of any later on, feel free to email us and we'll make sure that gets through here to Derrick. But we'll go ahead and conclude today's session. Thank you all for joining in for the thoughtful and very inspiring engagement today. Derrick, your session was so incredibly insightful and uplifting. You shared such valuable strategies. And it looks like we do have Jason. What are your thoughts on the current job market? Found after applying to hundreds of jobs and internships at entry level, it seems like they're going nowhere even with prior job experience.
Great question. I'll answer this as we got about a minute left. Current job market is very competitive. I'll say this, recruiters look at resumes about 6 to 15 seconds max. So apply very early to any job. If you're not applying in the first day or two, give it up. Also, if you don't know someone, give it up. Know someone. Be connected to someone on LinkedIn. Know someone in the community that helps you. Outside of that, you're dealing with luck, and luck is like timing meets opportunity meets they picked me. So you don't want to be on the third end. Apply very early. Know someone very soon. And get connected and just never give up. Never give up. And as long as you have that career trajectory and do all the things we talked in this session, you should be okay.
Awesome. Thank you for that question there, Jason. All right. So thank you, Derrick. You shared such valuable insights and strategies, and you sparked some really inspiring conversations with us today between our students and alumni. We'll be sending out this recording along with that feedback survey. If you could just take a minute to answer those two questions, we'd greatly appreciate that. And of course, we'd like to extend a big WGU thank you to you, Derrick, for taking your time and sharing your expertise and for being such a supportive force in the community. Your leadership and dedication into empowering others is truly inspiring, and we're grateful to have you with us today. Thank you for all those who joined us and for being a part of today's session and for being vulnerable. That was really, really wholesome to see. And don't forget to check out upcoming sessions in our YouTube channel for this recording here. So wishing everyone a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care,
Yes,
guys.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.